Hello, my name is Melissa Holden, and I still don't have a catchphrase. Sorry, but what I do have is a story to tell you about a miracle. So stay tuned. That was stupid. But it's better than the previous times when people called during it. Don't call people while they're making videos. No one should call me anyway. I don't talk on the phone. Anyone who knows me knows that. Anyway, this story came to me while I was just sitting doing really mundane things like tatting. Anyway, very, very mundane. But it occurred to me that I don't often tell stories of things that happen in my life because they're no big deal to me, but I do remember to tell stories about how things were so bleak and I was going to die, but I didn't. And then they said I would never, but the doctor says, well, okay, she lived, but she's never going to walk again. And I did. Or the time I was in so much pain, I just wanted to die. And I said a prayer. If you're really going to die, don't pray because you'll have hope. And then someone came knocking on my door and they wanted to make me dentures. Isn't that amazing? It was a really, really huge miracle. And things like that do happen. I'm having so many other thoughts. I'm not telling my story. Okay, the story is the other day, it was like a Friday or Saturday night. I was coming down the stairs from saying goodnight to the kids, and I was sleepy, and I fell down the steps. Now, let me tell you more about this story. What happened is when I started to fall, I lost my balance. Now I fall a lot, and I hate, you know, that falling, that feeling you've seen people when they're on ice or something, and they're trying to catch their balance, and they're trying everything. I've just gotten to I fall so many times now that I just give up. It was funny because one of my favorite stories is about a time I was falling at my parents' house. When I stepped out the balcony, I had my two oldest daughters. They were just little babies at the time, and they were going up. My parents had a little swimming pool, just tall enough for them. And they were coming out with me. I fell down the steps, and I turned to grab the patio door, and it came off the hinge and flew with me, and I didn't want it to land on me, so I threw it really quick. And apparently one of my daughters was nervous about it, and she's like, Mom, are you okay? And I'm like, where is that voice coming from? Because I was laying on the cement, like I was sure I was going to die, but I didn't, and I hadn't assessed what had happened yet. Someone called again. Anyway, I had not yet assessed what had gone wrong. And I heard someone say, Mom, are you okay? And I look and my daughter's underneath the table, pinned down underneath it by a door over top of her. I'm like, well, at least you're safe. But how did that door get there? And she says, you threw it at me and I jumped under the table. Anyway, that was a different story altogether. I don't remember that happening, but I think that story is hilarious. I have so many good stories with Lena. But anyway, also the biggest story is that is not even her name. That's what I call her. But anyway, this story was about me falling down the steps. I was tired. I was coming down the steps and I lost my balance. And rather than flail around and try to catch myself, most of the times when I flail around, I find that my landing is worse and I end up really hurting my elbow or something, because when I'm trying to brace myself, and that happens in the car too, when I feel like we're going to get in a car crash or something, I grab something and my husband says, don't do that. That makes it worse. And besides, if you think about it, if I actually braced myself, I'd end up hurting myself much worse than if I just let the accident happen. Anyway, so I just decided, okay, fine, I've lived a good life, I'm just going to die. And I fell down the steps and I hit with a really loud thud. And when I realized what had happened, I was like, well, gosh, this death seems very much like life. And my husband was using his computer and he had heard the crash, and he looks and he goes, are you okay? And I just jumped right up. I didn't have any problem at all. I was like, okay, I survived. And I got up, and there's no scratches, no bruises or anything. But then when I went over and looked at what I'd hit, when I felt our steps, they like turn, go down, and then turn again. And right at the foot of the steps, you have to turn, but somehow I landed down on the bottom floor. There's a shoe rack, and it's metal, and I totally demolished it. It is totally unusable. I had to throw it out and get a new shoe rack. But, like I say, I had not a scratch or a bruise or anything. And I just got up and I just fixed the shoe thing and put a new shoe rack and went back to sleep. Not thinking anything of it. And that is the miracle. The miracle is that, you know, I didn't even realize it as it happened. I just got up and went to sleep and stuff. But it was in our class at church. Somebody was talking about something that had happened to them. And they had fallen, and it was a miracle. And I was thinking, you know, I did have a miracle. Pause. Okay, if you're watching this, you're probably one of those internet people. And you're probably familiar with an internet sensation. The show called The Chosen. And in it, there's this scene between Fatima, the woman at the well, and Jesus. And at one point she says, when has God ever helped me? And even if he did. And anyway, then the conversation ensues, and there's this long conversation, and then the Jesus character says, you're wrong. God has helped you. And that's when, I'm not saying God helped me, but I'm just saying I should have been hurt at least. So I'm like, well, when the other lady was telling her story, I was like, oh, you know, that was a miracle because, and when I went to sleep, my husband he says, you know, you might feel fine now, but you're going to feel sore in the morning. You'll have bruises or something. You're going to be sore. But you know, nothing. I had nothing. It was as if I just walked down the stairs. It was just really fast. And I was telling my kids about it because during church when the woman told her story, and I was like, oh, you know, that was a miracle because someone shouldn't survive that. And so as I was telling the kids and stuff and all the things that happened, and Mary, my one daughter, was like, that's really strange. I heard that. That was, and my husband, that's what he says. He says, you should have seen the shoe rack, because I was like, it was no big deal. I fought all the time because everyone was giving my son, Joseph, a hard time because he didn't hear it. And it was so loud. And my daughter's like, I heard that really loud bang. I'm like, yeah, that was me, but it didn't even, and it's funny because I get bruises and scratches and cuts all the time and don't have any idea where they came from. But I don't have a single bruise or scratch or anything. I just got right up and walked away. So, anyway, that's my miracle. That's the story. This is getting way longer than I intended. Bye!